Well, hey everybody, Tamara Holloway here, Diamond Ambassador with Plexus. Also have a double diamond family household. And I am just coming here today to chat with you about something that I did to grow my network. So, back in the day when I joined Plexus, I only had around 300 Facebook friends. So, my market was not super big. And once I fell in love with the products and I decided to go all in on the business, my very first thought strategically was, I gotta expand my network. And so I, of course, did the looking through the yearbook and adding people that I went to high school with that maybe I wasn't always friends with, looked at people at college, looked at mutual friends I had with other Facebook friends, and did anything I could to friend request and add new people that I already knew, people that were in my warm market. That still did not grow my overall market by enough where I felt like I could be really successful in this business. And so, one thing that I did that I was very successful at was creating new relationships through Facebook groups, okay? There was no Instagram in the day. There was no hashtags to draw people in. It was really authentic relationship building. And so I'm just going to kind of walk you through what I did. And of course, the landscape has changed over the years, but there are so many, in fact, way more than there was 10 years ago, Facebook groups with a variety of interests. And I'm going to give you some examples as we talk through this. But I use Facebook groups to build authentic connections and relationships. What I love about these different groups is it's basically bringing like-minded people together around shared interest, and that makes relationship building and connecting with people actually feel pretty natural. One of the most important things is just finding the right groups, right? So we hear this said about Instagram, define your niche. Like, where are you going to add value? And that's really important when looking at what Facebook groups you want to join. You just don't want to go in and, search something random and join a group because it has 10,000 people in it. No, you want to get pen and paper, write out what is it that I really love? What is it that I'm really passionate with or about? I'm sorry. And who do I really want to connect with? Maybe that's moms of teens. Maybe it's homeschooling groups. Maybe it is support groups for people who have children with ADHD. Maybe it's new home building groups. Maybe it's sleep training babies. A couple of these I'm mentioning are groups that I'm a part of and have built some connections with. Maybe it's fitness and workout communities, running moms, yoga for beginners. It could be groups focused on specific diets or lifestyles like Whole30, vegan, intermittent fasting, keto, or moms of picky eaters. Maybe it's crafting or gardening, traveling as a family. I mean, truly, you guys, the list goes on and on. Just about anything that you have interest in, guarantee you can find a Facebook group that has people of like mind and shared interest in those groups. So another important thing, outside of defining what you're passionate about and what your niche might be, it's also taking a look at the actual group. So one thing I would do is I made my list of the things I was excited about, passionate about, and I joined several groups. But before I joined these groups, I would take a look at, a lot of them are public, and so you don't have to actually be a member to look at them. So I would go into the group and I would look at how active they were. Because there's some groups that maybe they're active for a time and then it just kind of falls away. And then there's others that you're seeing like 9, 10, 12 posts a day. And so I wanted to see if the members were actually engaging. Because if not, then it would be a lot harder to build those relationships. So I would definitely look for groups that had a lot of engagement, a lot of interaction, look through a lot of those posts and see, can I add value here? If you're thinking, I don't know where I can add value, ask yourself this question. What is something that you can talk about passionately about for 20 minutes without preparing for it. Like if someone said, hey, stand up and tell me something you just love. Like, what are those things? Could you talk about your garden? Could you talk about homeschooling your kids? Could you talk about health and wellness? Could you talk about yoga? Could you talk about crafting? Could you talk about loving to cook with organic ingredients? Like, what are those things that you can just share about? Because that is where the value add is going to come. It's going to allow you to engage with others authentically. You're going to genuinely be able to contribute to discussions rather than just trying to figure out, how am I going to share this business, right? You're going to share your knowledge. You're going to answer questions for people. You're going to participate actively in conversations, and this builds trust and credibility. So one thing that I would do, especially when I very first joined, is I would look at all those posts and I would add value where I could. So for example, something in more recent times is I have been a part of, for about 2 years, a new home building group because we were building a new home. I was very active in that page, not only for my own benefit, but providing benefit to others. So for example, people might share something about what wood flooring to pick. And if anyone had experience with this type of wood flooring. And so I would share what wood flooring that I purchased, why I purchased it, and that it was scratch resistant. Like I would share these things and encourage people. They might say, oh, can you send me pictures of that? Absolutely. I'll message you some photos. So I would get into these conversations. This happened at least 15 or 20 times. I would get into these conversations privately on Messenger, building that relationship, adding value to that person by helping them, giving them my opinion, telling them something that I had learned, and it formed trust and it formed rapport. And then I'd friend request them. And then maybe I would go and comment on some of their posts as I would see. Here's one thing I would give you a major tip on, that if you Facebook friend people and you're having conversation, you're building relationship, make sure you're writing that name down and you are intentionally engaging with their posts. Now, I don't mean stalking them, like every single thing they post you're commenting on, but you're going to their page at least 2 or 3 times a week and you are engaging. So you're continuing to build that relationship. That is something I've had a lot of success with, is adding value, moving that to private messenger to add more value, building relationship and rapport, just being a friendly person, asking questions, and then sending them a friend request because I've built up that rapport. So that is something that, it takes time. It takes time to add value. It takes time to connect with people, but it is worth it. Another thing I would do is I really would be strategic about creating content within the group. So not just interacting on other people's posts, but creating content of my own that really resonated with the group. So maybe it would be asking certain questions that engage the group within that particular subject. I would add tips to the group of things I learned, things I was doing. Sometimes I would post pictures and say, which tile do you like better? Or what do y'all think about this light fixture compared to this light fixture? Because people love to give their opinions. And if you're doing that in a very fun way, then people notice you. They get familiar with that name if you're sharing things that are helpful and you're also engaging with others. I have made numerous friends within my new home building group doing this. And I have been doing this for years. Just kind of where my life is focused at the time are the groups that I'm building in. But if I was doing this from the beginning, I would find at least 5 different subjects that I am passionate and excited about and engage in those groups actively. I would set a goal. This is what I challenge you to do. I would set a goal to commit to engaging in these groups daily, weekly, commenting on at least 3 posts every day that you decide to be engaged, and then starting one conversation. So let's say that Sarah writes a post asking for some help or some advice. I have some help or advice to give, and then I might say, hey, I'm going to private message you an article I read about this, or I'm going to private message you some pictures in regards to this. This can look a lot different depending on what type of subject we're talking about, obviously. But you're finding a way to take the conversation where you're connecting in a post into a private message so you can build that relationship. And then, like I said, once it feels natural, don't rush this process, then you can send a friend request and you continue to grow that relationship. I have 3 or 4 Jules that were complete strangers to me. And I have probably had 30, 40 customers that were strangers to me that I built relationship with online. So it 100% can be done if you're willing to stay consistent, be committed, and add value. And really be intentional about your engagement in those groups. Really be intentional about what groups you choose. Really be intentional about the content that you share within the group so that you can stand out. Last but not least, one quick tip is I would also be an observer of these groups. I would watch who was very active within the groups, who gave really thoughtful responses within the group, who was someone that I was just drawn to their personality and what they posted or how they engaged. I would click on their Facebook page and I would just kind of get to know them a little bit, just watching and saying, oh, you know what, that's a gal I just would like to be friends with in real life. And so I would also watch for the kind of people that I was naturally drawn to, whether it be their personality, their smarts, their humor, whatever it might be, so that I was also being just organic in chatting and conversing and engaging with people that I just was drawn to them and to what they had to offer as well. So basically it comes down to willing to spend the time and the intentionality in building new connections. A lot of you watching this, maybe you're still in your warm market and you're thinking, oh, I don't have time for that, or that's not where I want to put my time. I still have friends that are coming to me. I still have family I need to reach out to. That's perfectly good. But at some point, you will need to continue to grow your network and stretch yourself and get to know new people in order to continue to grow your business if you run out of leads within your warm market. That was definitely something I had to do. I 100% would not be a Double Diamond family if I had not have made those connections and built relationships from my cold market. I now have Facebook friends that live in Georgia and Kansas, one or two in California that I did not know prior to doing these things that I share with you. So I hope that's helpful. If you have any questions, let me know, and good luck finding those groups, engaging, and being intentional with building relationships so that you can grow your network in hopes that you can grow your business. All right, guys, have a good one.